A case before the U.S. Supreme Court could change the way politicians deliver a message online or on social media platforms. Now, this comes after Florida and Texas both passed laws restricting tech platforms like Instagram and Twitter, aka X, from moderating content and blocking political views. Now that X has a new owner, maybe not so much there. The trade group representing the social media platforms argues they have a First Amendment right to determine what content is allowed on their site. But attorneys for the states, Texas, Florida, say censoring people violates free speech. Joining us to talk about it, University of Houston downtown professor Dr. Dietrich von Biedenfeld and conservative attorney Eric Dick. Eric, why was it important for conservatives in Florida and Texas to pass these laws?
Well, it's kind of interesting. The conservatives' position is that their views are being censored by media. And you saw that happening with Trump whenever his accounts were pretty much shut down with Twitter and Facebook.
And that was after January 6th.
It was after January 6th.
A milestone event.
It was a milestone event. His position is that, he did nothing wrong. And, he just feels strongly. And I think there's a valid point to all this. This reminds me of George Carlin, his 7 bad words, and how it kind of got kicked off of the radio. That's what this kind of reminds me of. Though the radio, those are private radio companies, but it really goes into the air that's kind of public. It's kind of interesting whether or not this will be kind of the same. And with public radio companies, with news companies, we have to adhere to certain policies. Absolutely.
That are set in place, especially with elections, like fair. If an individual is coming on who is running for a political office, then you have to invite the candidate on.
Absolutely.
Or you're biased.
Absolutely. So this one's interesting because both sides are saying they're being censored. The companies for the social media, they're saying that the government's censoring them because they're making them say certain things, and the government's saying no. They're being censored. Some views are being censored. So it's a really fascinating First Amendment argument. It's out there. It's a juicy one.
And Dr. von Biedenfeld, when you take a look at both sides, the states versus the media companies or the social media companies, your thoughts on who will likely come out on top?
At this point, we always follow the money, and the hours of oral arguments today, the Supreme Court seems very hesitant to either remove the 11th Circuit's blocking of Florida's or affirm the 5th Circuit. So at this point...
Okay. For those who are laymen, we don't even know what you just meant there.
So Florida and Texas are in 2 different jurisdictions, even if politically we're in the same universe. And at that point, one of the reasons that a writ of certiorari things are even being heard before the Supreme Court is because there is a disconnect between the circuits. And so they're trying to resolve this split and say, what is the confusion? So 11th Circuit, when Florida appealed, they said, nope, we're blocking your law. 5th Circuit in New Orleans said, yeah, Texas, you do what you need to do. So now the Supreme Court's going to have to resolve that. And as they go forward, there are a lot of challenges. I mean, one of the things that comes up is Chapter 230 of the Public Decency Act, right? And so you think about this idea that shields Facebook. Now, if you say something inflammatory, somebody may come after you. But Facebook, if you say something inflammatory on Facebook, individuals can just sue you. They can't sue Zuckerberg. They can't sue even if you allowed that speech. And there's a lot of concern still, though, that one of the reasons why it's not an open and shut case, because there is the concern that a lot of these laws in the United States, what were we doing? We were trying to get away from government oppression. So most of these laws, they don't apply to private people, they apply to the government. So government suppression or compelling people to publish speech that may be incendiary, inflammatory, or violent, and saying, you have to publish that. But when you go back to even things like the Little John case, where Trump's tax returns were published, there is a lot of fear when he's only getting 1 count for publishing tax returns. People say, is this a war against conservatives? Is the government doing a war against speech for conservative individuals? Is it okay to attack conservatives? And they can't respond.
And really quick before we go, Eric, one-word answer, who will win, conservatives or social media companies?
Conservatives, but I stick with free speech.
I think social media companies.
All right. Thank you guys for joining us here. And of course, we expect a decision from the U.S. Supreme Court by June.